Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and your local witch next door. And today I'm talking about tarot and evening primrose. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. Thanks so much for those of you who were able to attend my virtual tarot card creation event recently. If you signed up but were unable to make it to the live event, you should have the replay of the event recording, the PDF I made with my step-by-step process, and an offer to join my upcoming series called Tarot for Transformation in your emails. You should make sure to look for that. If you weren't able to attend live or didn't register in time, you can go ahead and get the full hour-long recording with my step-by-step method that I walk you through. You get to see examples of the tarot cards I've created. I put some journaling questions in there, and you'll have a whole 15-page PDF to walk you through it for just $33. So the link will be in the show notes to purchase that. I'm going to be offering a 12-week Tarot for Transformation live course this summer, so if you're interested, sign up in the show notes for more information for that as well. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. I did just update my Patreon benefits to be bigger and better than ever, so you should check that out. If you join the lovers level of the podcast on the Patreon, you get access to an exclusive Discord to chat with me live during the stream, and I'll pull a card for each one of my patrons when I do my monthly Newman Collective spreads. So if you want an individual card pulled just for you live on the podcast, join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family at the lovers level. And if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on the Patreon. If you're local to the Greater Puget Sound area, you can check out my next upcoming Let's Talk Tarot meetup group events for the latest postings. My next event will be... trying to think as I record this will be tomorrow on the full moon. I'm hosting a women's circle local event on July 10th, like I said, at 7 p.m. That will be at Thresholds Collective in South Tacoma. I have the link in the show notes to sign up for that. We are doing cost is sliding scale. But yeah, I would love to see you if you're local to me. I'm hosting this full moon women's circle with my friend and colleague Izzy. And we're really excited to do a 90-minute circle event where we'll be honoring the full moon, doing some journaling, pulling some cards, all sorts of fun things. So if you want to sign up for that, look for the Eventbrite link in the show notes. And if you're interested in my free PDF with the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date information on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and more. And again, if you're local to me, I will be at Tacoma Pride this weekend, July 12th from 12 to 6 p.m. It will be held in Wright Park this year, and I will be having a lovely booth where I'm giving away free stickers for my podcast, so come say hi over there if you want a sticker. And I will also have tables set up to do tarot card crafting, so you get to create your own tarot cards in person with me. So I'll be there the whole time during Pride, leading, crafting, probably crafting a bit myself, and just there to talk to folks. I'm super excited for that. So check that out if you're local to me and if you're going to be at Tacoma Pride. All right. So you can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right. So we are into season 11. In season 11, I'm talking all about tarot and plant allies. If you haven't listened to any of my other seasons yet, you should check those out. I did a season all about tarot basics. I've gone through all the cards in a tarot deck. So seasons 2 and 3 were the major arcana and an overview of the 4 suits. Seasons 6, 7, 8, and 9 were the suit of wands, pentacles, swords, and cups. Season 4 was all about tarot and pop culture. Season 5, I went through 13 common tarot spreads. And season 10, which I just wrapped up, was all about tarot and witchcraft. So like I said, we are into season 11 here, where I'm talking about tarot and plant allies, and today I'm talking about tarot and evening primrose. So I'll go through, an overview of today's episode, I'll go through the plant description, we'll talk some plant magic, the relation to tarot, and then some uses for the plant. So last episode I talked about this lovely coloring book that I have that is called the Medicinal Herb Coloring Book by Amani Omer and Nicole Rose. I got this, I think, early on in the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was created for folks to learn more about herbalism through coloring, which I love. So last episode I talked about borage, which is in this book, and today I'm talking about evening primrose. The Latin name for it is Onithera biennis. And I'll show a picture of my lovely coloring image here, which shows the different parts of the plant. And I'll have some pictures of evening primrose that's in my yard as well. So evening primrose is a biennial herb that thrives on waste ground and sandy soil, which I definitely have. I have like a sort of steep backyard in parts of it, and that is definitely where it likes to hang out. The seed oil is a source of gamma linolenic acid, or GLA, a type of fatty acid that is helpful in the treatment of allergic and autoimmune problems through reducing inflammation. The plant can also assist with a range of hormone-related health challenges such as premenstrual tension, menstrual irregularities, endometriosis, and acne. The oil can also help lower blood pressure, and in addition, evening primrose can have a mildly sedative action on the nervous system. So again, these are sort of the herbalist aspects of the plant. The plant itself, at least in my backyard, grows up to like 6 feet tall. If you know the plant mullein or foxglove, it kind of grows similarly in that it has a very sort of thick stalk. It has a taproot that goes down deep in the soil, which is probably part of why it thrives in sandy soil, or in sort of unhealthy soil perhaps, or when there's not a lot going on in the soil. You might see it along edges of roads or things like that. So yeah, it has this thick stalk, green, sort of soft leaves that are fairly large with the spine down the middle, and then it grows pretty tall, like I said, and it will keep kind of producing flowers as it goes up. So again, sort of like foxglove, if you're familiar with that plant, the purple that sort of changes color, the flowers as they grow taller. This plant has yellow flowers. It's called evening primrose because the flowers open up in the evenings, so they actually generally are more closed during the day. And they open in the evening, which also means that they are often pollinated by moths, which are obviously more active in the evening, and not always as much during the day. So when I got in my yard, which I just did, to put my chickens away in the evening and make sure they're all safe and locked up and all in their enclosure, all of the evening primrose smells really sweet as I'm walking up the hill to put the chickens away, and they're all open, which is just beautiful at night. It's quite lovely. So yeah, for me right now, they're blooming. They'll probably bloom kind of all summer. They have these 4-petaled flowers with a sort of a bunch of stamens in the middle. They have some leaves that come off of the flower underneath. This one has just sort of 2 leaves on either side. And then the stem is thin up where the flowers are, but it gets thicker as it goes down. And again, it does actually have a root that you can cook and eat if you would like. People have done that before. So Again, I talked about the herbalist qualities of the plant. Again, forewarning, or I'll put a cautionary, right? Just don't go around eating plants if you don't know how it's going to affect your body or what it's going to do. Contact a local herbalist or a naturopath to talk about plants and how you might want to incorporate them as medicine if you would like to do that. If you like some of what the plant might be able to assist you with. There is this idea in herbalism that if you live on land for a certain amount of time, the plants that you need will come to you and grow. So this plant has been in my yard, I mean, I feel like since I arrived, I never planted it. It is just here, and I have a lot of them, probably 100, probably more of them. I'm on a 1/4 acre currently in town in sort of an urban property, and it does have quite a steep hill in the back. It's flat going out my back door, and then there's quite a steep hill, and then it's flat again towards the back, and they love to climb or to be on the hilly areas. So it's great for me because it helps for my soil from eroding. So my soil doesn't get even sandier and drier out. And like I said, I love how it looks in the evenings. I have never harvested this plant. Well, I picked a flower today so I could have it in the image for my altar here. But other than that, sometimes I spread the seeds. So when the flowers dry up, they sort of close up, and then you end up with these seed heads. The seeds for them are quite tiny, like the size of, I don't even know, not salt grains, but like quite small. Very, very small. Like a lot of perennial plants, this plant is going to be harder to start from seed than it is to find out in driveways or ditches on the side of the road, at least where I live, which is the irony of some of these plants, is that when you try to cultivate them, it feels very challenging. But when they cultivate themselves, they will find the sandiest, graveliest, hottest places to thrive. Which again is why sometimes we can see them as weeds. So these, like I said, they get very tall in my backyard. I end up with like probably hundreds of them. And it's very hard to pull them out of the ground because they have that long taproot. So sometimes when I'm trying to make a pathway, or like they love to hang out like in places I don't necessarily want them. Like there's one that's always by my hose, my garden hose, that I'm like pulling in and out all the time. So I'm like knocking it over and hitting the plant. I will just sort of like press my foot on it to like squish the stalk down towards the ground. But this flower I harvested was actually from one of those. So I like knocked the entire plant over towards the ground. And remember, again, it's like 6 feet tall, and it's still going strong. It's still producing flowers. So it is a hardy plant also. Let's get into some of the plant magic of it. So I don't have a book necessarily that talks about some of the magical correspondences for plants. But when I did the borage episode, I found this blog, Parting the Mists. I'll link it in the show notes, that has where they reference a deck, the Druid Plant Oracle by authors Philip and Stephanie Carr-Gom and artist Will Worthington. And there also is a card for Primrose. So there are different kinds of primroses. It seems like it's more of like a family. And then I, at least, am talking about the variety that is the evening primrose, because that's what I'm familiar with. This card sort of speaks more broadly though, because like when I look at the flowers in this image, they don't quite look like the ones I have. So the ones I have are 4-petaled. Again, they have sort of the like pollinator parts in the middle of them that's getting all over my hands as I touched it, and it's like getting yellow pollen everywhere. And then they have green stalks, and they sort of have thin green leaves that are, like I said, sort of soft, but also a little like kind of prickly, not as much as the borage though, but the flowers are all yellow and they have these 4 petals. In this image, they talk about primrose and it looks like it has bigger leaves. We see 5-petaled primrose that's white with like a yellow middle. So anyway, they talk about primrose as being associated with love, creativity, and rebirth. It says primroses because they're small and beautiful. They often appear after winter. So again, slightly different than like what I'm talking about here. But again, associated with like relationships, dreams, seasonal things, new cycles, which I'll get into a bit when it gets to the tarot card associations. And then let's see if there's anything else here that's interesting. Let's see. Yeah, it says it's a fresh wave of tenderness that will appear in an existing relationship or be about a new love and entering your life. Rising of creativity in you. It says the primrose is the flower of the bard, and each of us has a bard within us who longs to sing the song of their soul and tell the story of their heart. So I do love that aspect of it. Let's see here. I was going to see if there's anything else. It looks like the common evening primrose, which again is the one I'm talking about. It's native to Eastern and Central North America. From Newfoundland west to Alberta, southeast to Florida, and southwest to Texas. So in quite a large part of North America, evening primrose oil is produced from the plant, and usually that happens from compressing these seed heads, I believe, before they dry out. Other names for the plant are evening star, sundrop, let's see, fever plant, king's cure-all. I've never heard of some of these. Yeah, it is a biennial, which you'll notice that was in the name, the Latin name, Onithera biennis. And so it has a lifespan of 2 years, which is again is similar to, I believe, both mullein and foxglove, which are somewhat similar looking plants in that it takes them 2 years to go through their whole process. So in the first year, they're like working on producing and getting very tall and working on that. Like I said, the leaves are smaller. It says they produce in a tight rosette and spirally on a stem the second year. And then and then in that second year, they're producing a ton of flowers, and then eventually they do sort of dry out. The whole stalk will dry out. All of the seed heads will dry and open up, and all those little seeds will get dispersed if anyone or any bird kind of like knocks against it or eats the seeds. They'll get dispersed around. Like I said, the seeds are very, very small. It says, that this blooming lasts from late spring to late summer. Again, that's in the northern hemisphere, in the area where they are native to. Let's see. It says the flowers open very quickly in the evenings. It says that that's what produces this interesting spectacle, hence the name evening primrose. And they are pollinated with different pollinators. Like I said, I know there's some specific moths that pollinate them. Yeah, there's a primrose moth, and there's one other one. So again, because it opens at night, moths are going to be the main pollinators then versus birds necessarily or other insects. Evening primrose oil is sold as like a dietary supplement, so you may have seen that before, which again, usually seed oils are made because they take the seed heads before they're dried out, I believe, and then like compress them in a very large industrial process, and that's how we get oils in general from seeds. It says the Anishinaabe tribes would make tea from the leaves. You can eat some parts of the plant. I've never eaten any parts of it. The roots can be eaten raw or cooked like potatoes. So says Wikipedia, so, take it with a grain of salt. It says the leaves can be eaten in salads or raw or cooked like spinach and soups. Yeah, personally, I don't know if I'd be eating these leaves raw. They're a little, at least the ones in my yard, are like pretty large. I guess I can try them tomorrow maybe. See if I can have some like spinach. I can imagine them being cooked down. And I have, like I said, if I have tried to pull them or out of the ground and I'm able to, they do have like quite a large taproot, like a carrot or a parsnip or other root veggies that we're familiar with. So that is also interesting to know. Okay, so let's get into the, relation to tarot. So I did some research on, like I said, like folklore around the primrose, and different properties it's associated with. And so I saw different, like there's the love and affection side, or maybe you could use like the lovers or two of cups. They talk about the youthful beginnings as a flower that blooms in the evening. It symbolizes youthful energy. So they talk about the Fool, or maybe some cups cards like Ace of Cups or Page of Cups. They talk about this healing and soothing presence. So perhaps the Star, indicating hope and healing or inner peace with Temperance. But the ones I thought were the most resonant with me were more about creativity and wisdom, like unlocking inner potential. So I pulled the Magician cards from the Desert Illuminations deck, and also the Ophidia Rosa deck, and I really liked those images that I found in there. Those seem to resonate. In the Ophidia Rosa, you have a snake eating its tail, the Ouroboros, and then in the Desert Illuminations deck, we have an aura around an alien as the Magician. They also talk about the High Priestess, so I did pull that one from the Ophidia Rosa as well, which I love. In this image, it has a crescent moon, and we have some flowers that actually kind of look similar to evening primrose. Not quite. They have some red on them, and they have slightly different petals or leaves, I would say. But I like that this deck has different plants on it. And then Death was the other card that kind of stood out to me or came up, because there is this aspect of like transformation or rebirth. Again, like being a flower that opens in the evening. It's fairly rare, and so we get this sort of representing transformation, releasing old patterns, new beginnings. I did see lots of associations of the plant with fairies or gateways to a realm of fairies. So I also, again, read about maybe the Moon tarot card being sort of similar to that, and then again with the High Priestess there. So, and my High Priestess card here has a moon on it. And actually, the Magician one and the Desert Illuminations one does as well. So we get a lot of moon transformation, right? We get this like cyclical aspect with the Magician card in the Ophidia Rosa deck. And that all feels resonant to me. I did pull some crystals as well. I'm trying to think if I know all the names of them. I have like a garnet one, smoky quartz. I have a heart, like rock, that's painted like a rainbow. That sort of, it matches the aura in the Magician card in the Desert Illuminations tarot deck. I pulled my crescent moon, like amethyst, because I did read something as well where they talked about that it has an association with Diana, the goddess, and that really, the moon makes me think of that, or the crescent moon. And then I just sort of pulled some crystals that had reds and greens in them that felt right to me. So I will have a picture of sort of my little altar set up here. I have a yellow candle. I also have this like glass candle holder. I don't quite know. It's almost like stained glass where you put a pillar candle inside of it and you can close it up. And that that was really, it actually has pressed flowers also like within the glass that are also yellow. So we're going yellow themed today for the flowers here. Let's see. And then, yeah, let's get into some ways to use the plant or interact with it. So I'll be referencing the Hearth Witches Compendium, Magical and Natural Living for Every Day by Anna Franklin. And anything I reference will be in the show notes. So in here they talk about evening primrose. Let me find the magical herbalism with the plant. So this is like a part reference guide, part cookbook, part skincare, part just like magical. So this is in the magical herbalism section, and it says for evening primrose, it's associated with beauty, success, and friendship, ruled by the moon and sacred to Diana. All right, and then we have two different sort of other associations with it. So it is often used in maybe natural beauty products, or like I said, I think sometimes the oil, the evening primrose oil gets used as a supplement. So put in usually, perhaps like capsules and use that way, taken, orally. So evening primrose is very moisturizing, high in gamma-leonolic acid, the GLA, and helps prevent the premature aging of skin. And then they do have a recipe in here for, where's the one with, it's a violet moisturizer for dry skin. So it has boiling water, a handful of fresh violets, flowers, and leaves, 5 evening primrose capsules. So again, these would be like oils that are put inside a capsule, a teaspoon of apricot oil, a teaspoon of lanolin, and 1/4 of an ounce of emulsifying wax, and 2 drops of rose essential oil or essential oil of your choice. So that was another sort of association, was this like love, roses energy as well. And so you basically like infuse your water with the violets, and then you open up the evening primrose capsules and put the oil with the other oils and the wax in a double boiler. You strain it out and then discard the pulp, and you put that drop by drop into this. You mix the warm violet infusion with the oil mixture. You whisk it, and then you pour it into glass jars and stopper tightly, and it will keep in the fridge for 2 months. So it would be like a moisturizer. So again, this is mostly the usage of the oil from the seed heads from this plant. Like I said, it does seem like there is historical precedent by folks native to the Americas for making tea with the leaves, or eating the leaves and then eating the roots as well. So we love that, right? Lots of parts of the plants apparently can be consumed in that way. But again, look up recipes, or be careful when eating plants. If right there in your soil in your backyard, that's one thing. If you're harvesting plants from a ditch, from a driveway, from a parking lot, just be mindful that they may have been sprayed. They might have things on them, like you don't totally know, especially if you're harvesting it to eat, especially without cooking it. Just be very mindful about where you're harvesting from with that. Like, again, I have like hundreds in my yard. Probably would be okay to like try out a couple. Maybe I'll cook some of the leaves up this week and keep you updated as to what I think about them. But yeah, I really just love the flowers, and I love that it's a plant that I don't have to plant. I love things that just show up in my yard and that are beautiful and that we can eat. All right. Yeah, so those are kind of what I have on Evening Primrose. I'm going to pull a card to see if there's anything that Evening Primrose wants to share with us today, anything that I didn't talk about or that thinks that we need to know. So I'm going to grab a deck and pull a card for that. All right, let's go with the Goddess of Love Tarot deck by Gabriella Herstick and illustrated by Julia Popescu. Since we're on the love theme today with this lovely plant, gonna give that a quick shuffle. So is there anything to know that we need to know? Any messages for us that Evening Primrose wants? Okay, cards keep falling out, so I'm gonna pull it. I pulled the Six of Swords upright, which I think I've seen recently. Let's see here. The astrological correspondence is Mercury and Aquarius. It says this is one of the gentler swords. It's an omen of moving away from the pain and heartache, and it shows that you've passed the halfway point in the journey of this suit. Although it may not be a straight ascent, as always, the swords have surprises in store. This card represents a reprieve, a moment of stillness and calm amid the turbulence. Listen to your heart and then make logical decisions that are balanced in both aspects of self and soul. This isn't about rejection or ignoring the truth in favor of blissful ignorance. It's taking the matter at hand and moving on with compassion for yourself and the other. When the Six of Swords comes up, it can be an indication of something coming to a close. And although this could be literal, like ending a hookup or a relationship, more than likely it's about your perspective. It's okay to rest and feel whatever you're feeling. Working with your mind and not against it is imperative. The affirmation with this card is I am aligned in mind and heart and move toward love and wholeness with ease. And the journal question is, what am I being asked to let go of, to move toward, and to surrender to the new? All right. Well, links for the tarot decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And remember, if you'd like to join me on the journey of using the tarot for transformation, you love the podcast and you just want more tarot in your life, or you want to work with me more personally in a group setting where we talk about tarot, I'll have the link in the show notes to indicate your interest in receiving more info. You're not committed to anything. This just allows you to start getting information about it. We're probably going to be starting at the end of August, so you don't worry, you still have time to make your plans, to think about if this sort of container or group work is appealing to you. We'll work together for 12 weeks of calls and journaling to discover what happens when we want to transform our lives through the tarot. All right, and thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com, with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.